Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, guys, you know this is one of my favorite pieces right here, is that I get a chance to witness the individual that is before us and to welcome them. And so I'm excited to welcome the individual that is before us, Shirley. And I want you guys to honor her in a couple of things because I am about to. The first thing is her time. 24 hours has been given to each and every one of us, and I want to honor her that she's coming and spend some of this quality stuff with us here at President Enlightenment. You know how I feel about time. You have to learn how to honor her, respect her. I am telling you guys, if you pay attention to what I say, as you honor her, as you respect her, your relationships will get deeper. Your time spent on the planet will be more meaningful. But if you disrespect her, she will not honor you. The other is the journey. What a powerful creator. And the journey has created the individual before us. And we really want to honor her for coming and sharing this powerful story or journey so that we could become better human spirits while we're here on this planet. Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you so much, Ken, for a warm. I'm already warmed up in your vibration and the beautiful conversation we had. So, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and it is such an honor to share my journey every time I come over, and it's basically my duty to come and spread the message. I am just a messenger, as you said. I am just a messenger, and I need to spread this message so that we create, or we at least empower some people who are facing the darkness. That is my role, truly.
That is awesome. You may have answered my question, but I usually ask this question on the onset of the podcast. And my audience know the reason why I try to ask this question is to help them to understand that the journey is twofold. The first part of the journey is for you to get to know who you are. The second, that's the independent journey. And then there's the interdependent journey where we serve each other. And my question to you is, how do you serve mankind?
Well, it's very humbling that I got a chance in this lifetime to serve or even to make a difference in some people's life. And it all started with me facing the cancer diagnosis and asking me this question, though I was very accomplished in my career as a fashion designer. But that question really haunted me, is that I have not done anything substantial. I do not feel uh, if I die, if I die tomorrow, what am I going to leave behind? What difference am I going to make in people's life? And that question really made me fired up. And I told myself, and I had a conversation with God that if I am going to get well and if I stay alive, I am going to do something about it. I don't know what the path was, but I told myself, I told the light that I am going to do something meaningful with my life from that. And that led me to do what I am doing today, is to help people with cancer and, form certain, there's a lot of layers to the holistic healing and to holistic health. And I'm just trying to make people understand that the responsibility of your life, your health, your well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being is in your hands. We have been just given a vessel, and it is our duty and responsibility to ensure that we take care of it by right means and the right knowledge. So, if for me, if I could just spread the message, if I could just touch lives with people who especially are going with chronic diseases and issues such as cancer, and help them with my wisdom, what I had learned during that time, I feel really feel honored. I really feel when people come to me and share their journeys and witness from what they are to what they become. It's just like all I want to say is I sleep better at night. I sleep peacefully, that I've made a difference to people's life just by talking to them or just by spreading this knowledge, being with them, being their support system, answering their questions. And that's how I feel that it's a very small little thing which I'm doing, but this is how I'm serving the mankind in my capability. Yeah.
I think those little things that we talk about is mighty because those are the true power of the purpose of why we were supposed to be here. And so the little that we do is big and powerful because to change the direction of a single life. Wow. I love your North Star, as they say. I always tell people, find your North Star because that is the one that or your compass, in other words. That pilot, when he flies that plane, doesn't matter what happens to that plane, his focus is on that compass or his North Star. The North Star is the piece that will give you direction. And Shirley talks about when she had that diagnosis, she located her North Star. Have I done? What can I offer? And from that question, that probing within the self, it changed her life. So find your North Star and it will guide you. One of the very first things that we do here at Threads is to backtrack. We go back into, I call it time machine via the memory, and we revisit some of those spaces that we reside as a human being for a short time. The first space that
Right.
we reside is the family. The family houses a mom and dad position. We were told that's how it's set up. And then mom and dad, they bring us into their, some of us have siblings and all that type of stuff. But mom and dad, they're traumatized from whatever trauma they see the world through a certain vision and perception. And they now are going to deposit data into you.
Yeah.
What was your family unit like?
Oh, this is a very interesting question. So I lived in a joint family. We had like 9 kids, and we had my brothers, my dad's brothers, and we all lived together. And for me, I think I was the dark horse of the family because I was always inquisitive. I was always anxious. I always questioned the norms. I didn't want it to be certain way. I always wanted to go out. We were very protective as a family, like a large joint Indian family, and we were pampered, and everything was given to us. But I wanted to become independent, and I really had to fight my way to get out. And I had a sort of strained relationship with my mother because she wanted me not to go out and study in the college, and she wanted to be like, make I she wanted me to be close to her. She wanted me to just get married, have kids. And at the age of 17, like I started, like my mom started to push me in this idea that a woman's life is accomplished only when she has a husband and she has kids. And I started seeing guys like for arranged marriage at that tender age when I was 18, 19 years old. And that made me very, very, I was grew up having a very low self-esteem, though I was very good academically and very good at sports, etc. But that pressure of pleasing someone and seeking validation for your own happiness, I grew up in that environment. But then obviously I fought my way. I really fought my way. I came to a city, Mumbai, and I pursued my dreams of becoming a fashion designer. And then yeah, so that was like I had to fight my way. I had to, because I was the first person, I actually first person who, out of all the 9 people, who came out of the city, who came out and started pursuing her dreams. Because, and I remember so very clearly that when I had to leave the city, nobody really came and pushed me or encouraged me. There were only few, 1 or 2 people. My grandfather was one, and one of my uncles was one. That's it. And my mom was there beside me. So I had a very traumatic relationship with my parents because I didn't get the support, and I always blamed them, really, really blamed them till cancer happened. for a lot of situations in my life. And when cancer happened, then everything changed. I had to really take responsibility of what the person I have become. And before that, I got married, and I also had a very traumatic relationship with my husband. My He was quite abusive, and I had to leave him again because I was depressed, and I was feeling that, oh my god, this is not me. This is not what I'm going to. I want this life with him. And during the separation, when I was going through a separation, I got the diagnosis of cancer. So I started fighting with God. As what is this, like, at the middle of this? And my parents were here in America, like they lived, and I was all alone. Like, middle of this, I am fighting so many battles already, and you had to give me this at the age of 33, 34 years old. I was completely devastated, like completely devastated. I wanted to revolt back. I shut myself from the world, and I really even didn't want to go to the doctors. So that was me, like, again fighting back. And I always like, oh, I have to fight back. I have to win. And this is how I secured myself and my ego and my self-esteem.
Yeah, what a story to wow, because of the fighting, if you will, that strong will that was deposited in you as a young girl, breaking out of the traditions of men or the traditions of a family. That took some guts, and I know that being a Indian family, what that entails, coming out on your own and coming away from the programming of that culture that the woman needs to be, married and fulfilled with a man, or she's not fulfilled with how they put it. And for you to push through all of that ancient belief system,
Yeah.
because that's what it is, an ancient belief system, and come out on your own, that is impressive, Shirley, in its own self.
Yeah.
And as you're out, let's linger there for a little while, because this is a great story. Here's this girl, young woman, just broke free from all of that type of demands on her as far as the arranged marriage and all that stuff, but she wanted to be free. When she got free, what did that freedom at that time and that age look like to her, and how did she begin to move within that freedom, if you will?
Yeah. I felt that I am I think I didn't feel liberated, but I felt I have a responsibility. With freedom comes responsibility, and I had to find my own path because I didn't have any mentors, unfortunately, that time. And I wanted to pursue, I already always had big goals. I wanted to become independent. And I just let this universe kind of guide me, and I met some very good mentors. I started pursuing my fashion degree, and in Mumbai, I met a fantastic fashion designer who mentored me. It felt that as if I'm a master of my destiny, but it also felt that I have to go and snatch stars if they are not in my favor. I have to work hard. That was my mentality that time, that, oh, if you don't get what you want, you have to work hard towards your goals, and that's how you'll get it, or you snatch it. So, if I have to tell you, even though I pursued my goals and I became a very successful fashion designer, I had my own label also after 7 years of 8 years of working. But internally, still, I was not peaceful. I didn't have that peace. I was not 100% happy. I was only 50% happy, but that there was something missing. There was something missing always.
I tell people this is the programming. Sure, you get married, you grow, you're born, you go to, you get into college. As you go through your school, in some cultures, yours is to get married, and then you live your life. You have kids, you have your house, you have your cars, and all the material stuff. Nothing here has been mentioned anything about an internal compass at all. It's all these material things and gain. And then after you've gained all of these things, your white picket fence in America is the white picket fence with the 2 point something kids and the dog. and then you die. I think about that for a minute, and to me, it's one of the most morbid stories when you look at it in its pure form. It is
Yeah.
absolutely morbid. And I tell people, you and I didn't come to this planet to just do that. We came, each and every one of us have an assignment that has been deposited inside of us. And no job will be able to get you or keep you happy because a job it can't do that. But when you're in your assignment, it has the capability to do that. And so
Yeah.
when we achieve all these material things and all this stuff with the job, there is still this little nagging thing inside of us, like it's been just residing in you in the background. As you said, 50%, that's a big number. 50%
Yeah.
is a big number. And so that means that that individual's life is not a good not a good thing,
Yeah.
because internally there's lots of conflict, if you will, with that high percentage. So as you are having these internal conflict within yourself, how were you managing yourself then? Because, some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to all kinds of crazy stuff, some people get deeper into the work, get lost in the work. How did you manage yourself around that time?
That's the thing. I was trying to manage so much that I didn't take care of myself internally. I kept keeping things in me, just enclosing every emotion and just working myself out,
Yeah,
taking care of others' wishes, but never taking care of me because I was always anxious. I was
yeah,
always in this flight and fight mode all the time. And I was trying to get this validation from my husband that, oh, look, I am working so hard, and we need to do this and we need to do that because of my working hard. But I didn't know. I mean, I was quarreling with myself, and it led to a lot of confusions in within me that what true happiness is. Is true happiness just getting money and just spending money and going and pursuing your dreams, your goals? But even if you're doing that, but there has to be some sort of a peace. Why I'm not at peace? Why is this thing happening to me, and why am I angry all the time? Why am I frustrated? I was on my way to success, but still I was not happy where I was not happy in the moment. I was not happy. I was always either thinking about my past or thinking about my future. And that was really conflicting inside, that, oh gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that. This is the way it has to be done. I was controlling myself. I was controlling others. I was trying to control others. I was trying to change others and change the world the way I wanted. And I think that was more from an ego point of view, because I didn't know how to deal with it, or I was not able to even go out and talk to someone about my emotions, because I thought, why am I? It's not valid. Why am I supposed to go to a psychologist? I think only mad people go, because that was
yes,
we are
yes,
talking back way 2009, 2010.
yeah.
And yeah, that was not a field. I mean, we didn't know. And even talking to friends, it was very superficial level. So my way of dealing was that either just work hard, and I just couldn't deal. And if I was angry, I was blasting out to my ex-husband, or was I blasting out to my mom, just removing my anger and frustration. I think I was not into alcohol or not into drugs, anything, all of that. But I was definitely anxious. I was definitely angry, and I was all the time frustrated. That removal of frustration happened with others.
Yeah, most people think, Shorty, when you say drugs and addicted to certain things, the body is addicted to certain emotions. It's a drug to the emotion because it gives it a certain satisfaction. And then the journey is recognizing those addictions, if you will, and learning to break them by renewing your mind, your thought pattern, and your
Yes.
belief system. And so the body is addicted to some kind of drug. It doesn't always have to be alcohol or whatever. It's the bad emotional drug. Anger is one of them. I was addicted to that. That was my addiction, and I had to break that addiction with anger. And I have stories just like you do with all the crazy things that we do when we get into that space. But that is a mental feeling that we have to disconnect and break. And that also, and that's what I wanted to bring to the awareness of those that are listening to us. Those behaviors are addictive, they're drugs as well. So be mindful of that and learn to pursue answers with that in mind. So here you are, this successful woman, married. You talked a little about it, and I've been reading a little about your story as far as this relationship. I want to stay here for a minute or two because there's lots of women that are in this type relationship. You mentioned on the onset of this conversation that you, even though you were in sports and so forth, you had you know, your identity as far as who you are. You weren't fully accepting who you are, you know. So when you're coming into a relationship like that, that is also a handicap already
Yes.
because you're going to be seeking a validation from someone if you don't have that validation with yourself. Talk to us here because, as I said, there's a lot of women are in relationships that are very destructive to themselves.
Yes.
Guide some of them right here because, as I said, there's just hundreds of thousands and millions of women that are
I
there.
know, I know.
Talk to them
And
for a minute.
I have deep sympathies for all of them because I know what it takes. It takes a lot of courage to come out of that relationship. The whole point of, I know, in every culture, I've spoken to so many women here in US, all around the world. The whole culture about women as givers all the time, like we have to give no matter what. It's ingrained when we are as child, most of it. Now things are changing, but the whole point is that women need to have to suffer, and they are the one who are the supporters of the family. They are the one who needs to go all out with their love and care and not talk about themselves, because they are nurturers, as mothers. We need to protect our loved ones. This whole thing obviously was embedded in me, as I've seen my mothers, I've seen my cousins, everyone doing that. But the whole thing, again, if you see, I have seen a lot of hatred from my mother, like, my mother not really satisfied with her life because she is an extremely intelligent person, and she was, I think, really forthright, and she wanted to do so many things, and her wishes were not really my dad was another, he was always away for work, but she was a housewife, and I've always seen her frustration and her sacrifices for us. And for me, when I grew up and when I came and when I got married, I thought, oh my god, I have to really please my family, my extended family, my husband. And no matter what, I will keep my love for myself aside. I didn't even know what self love is that time. And in order to keep that peace, whatever toxic things he used to tell me, or we had the conversation, I used to never react to it. I used to just keep it inside because I was told that it's my duty to keep the family just together. And that's what I think lots of women do. And I've seen the really, like, people who are accomplished women also trying to do to keep their family together no matter what. They will take the shit of their husbands no matter what they said. And it was becoming so toxic for me. The abuse, and then it led one time to a physical abuse, which was absolutely not acceptable, but I accept it. And that gave him the power to do whatever or tell me whatever he wanted, because I gave him that power too. And I did not revolt, or I did not tell my parents, I did not tell anyone, because I wanted to keep the family together. And I thought it is my responsibility, because I chose him and not my parents. So it burdened me, actually. That decision really burdened me. And it got so toxic. And then I thought that I cannot take this anymore once, and I I was like, it took me a lot of time to sit with myself, find that courage to be able to tell everyone that this is over, I cannot take this anymore. It took a tremendous amount of courage, and that really stressed me out so much that it led, I believe that one of the causes of my cancer is extreme stress, which I was living in for the last 2 years of the relationship which I had. So we do, it's because the way we are brought up, and now I hope it's changing. I hope women will find that courage, and women's um marriage and relationship is not the end of the world, and you want to partner with someone who is an equal partner in every aspect of your life. And if somebody is not giving you that love and that respect, and you have all the right to get out of that relationship, that we should be taught from the grassroots levels when we are children, when the woman is, it's ready to take over and go out in the world. That should really change. I feel it should, every mother should empower their kids, especially the the little girls, to become independent of emotionally, financially, and feel that the relationship is only their security. So, yes, I mean, it was a tough decision for me. But
Yeah, I think, Shirley, some of the responsibility fall on the husbands and the fathers to educate their daughters and their sisters about that as well, that they don't have to be, because you have religion, you have the culture of the country, you have all of these heavy belief systems that deposit things into us that makes us stay within the abuse. And then we have the stories that we tell ourselves that we, again, we one of the most detrimental aspect of any kind of relationship that is on this planet is the people pleasing mindset,
yes,
because I was a part of that. It I pleased everyone and was killing myself. And that's not logical in any way, shape, or form, but that's what we do. And so, in order to make that a healthy relationship, you have to switch that around. You have to become healthy. On the plane, they tell you grab the oxygen mask first, because why? If
yes,
you can't breathe, you're going to die. So, in your life, on all you ladies that are there, and men too that are in toxic relationships, because I remember being in one, and I was, because of religious purposes and all these different things, I was holding on, if you will. But that abuse, mental, physical, whatever it is killing you, and you
yes,
have to reevaluate the value of your life. And once you begin to reevaluate the value of your life, you will see then that I think the courage will begin to build up from there, because you start looking at the value of your life. That if I stay here, I'm going to die. Do I want to die? These are the questions you have to ask, because I remember, and I tell this story from time to time, sure. I was remember driving, coming home from an event in Florida, and I live in Florida. I'm in the car contemplating my divorce situation. Should I go through it and whatever, and what I would need to do in order to make it work. What I needed to do in order to make it work was to die. I had to kill my personality of who
right.
I am. And I remember stopping on the side of the road, pulling my car off, and I know the people were looking at me, thought I lost my mind. I just got off the highway, and I pulled off on the side of the street, and I parked the car, pulled it over in the grass, and started yelling, with my tie on and the shirt, and everybody thought this man had lost his mind.
Oh,
I
gosh.
started yelling, refuse to die. I will not die. Because I was having this conversation with myself in the car. And so I was
Yeah.
answering myself. I started yelling, I said, you will not die. And I'm screaming and yelling. And in doing that, I knew what it took for me to begin not to die. I had to go through with it. And it was the best decision. It was a painful decision. And I'll leave this caveat with you guys that will help you out. When you are a husband and a wife in a relationship and you're moving through to another relationship, a new lifestyle, that character of who you were is going to die. That is not who you are. It is a character that you've been playing, a wife for a long time, a husband for a long time. That character is going to die and it's going to be painful, but it's
Yes.
not who you are. And you have to start looking at who are you amidst of all the darkness. And Shirley talked about it. The darkness will come, man. There is a purpose for the darkness. And we're going to talk about that as she begins to lead us through that part. So now you are in this marriage. You decided to shut down that character and all of what it entails, facing mom, facing society, facing yourself, facing your ex-husband, facing and facing. And now you're going to step out and then you are now going to create something new. This is before the cancer come, or did the cancer come while you were just before you left, or did it come
No,
after
after
you
I
left?
left and I started to make peace with the new character, as you said,
Yeah.
I was just about to, just live my life, have my own space, etc. And okay, I've dealt with it. I thought I've dealt with it, and the case was on. Like obviously, it was we had to go
Yeah.
through a battle,
The process. Yeah.
the process. But I made some sort of okay. I am going to enjoy my space. Let me enjoy my space. Okay, whatever, etc. And during that time, I started. My body responded. Started responding to that stress. Now I didn't know that it's responding to the stress. So uh, I got severely sick, like severely sick for 103, 104-degree temperature twice. I started having issues with my gum, like I had to go through a root canal. I also was very lethargic. I had extreme gastric issues that time. I was addicted to sweet. I was so actually went out and I used to eat one cup of maybe ice cream or pastry. I just thought that sweet is the answer of my lethargy. And I was also with the wrong people. Like some
Mm.
really, when you're vulnerable, some you kind of get into this thing where I just wanted to just keep all that at back of the mind. I started going out with friends who were not really friends, and this all happened. And my body was like, I pushed myself. I pushed myself to the limit because I thought I'm a fighter. I want to fight this. I want to fight the lethargy. I want to fight my mind and be at a place. And all that happened, and I got a lump on my right side, and which is very like rare. I thought I must have played badminton. I used to play badminton, and something happened, and that theory I made in mind, and it was not going. And I had a doctor friend of mine, and I told him that what, I'm just feeling some sort of a thing here. I don't know what it is, and I've tried everything. I've tried using cold and hot fermentation. It's not going. What do I do? He just told me to go and get an X-ray done. It's okay. So I got an X-ray done, and he told the technician there told me it can be TB. It looks like an infection there. Why don't you go and visit the doctor? So I went to the doctors, and they gave me a series of tests, and a lot of my vitals were disturbed, like my WBC level, hemoglobin, iron, vitamin D, etc., etc., extremely low. And they also suggested I do a sort of FNAC, which is they prick the needle onto the tumor
Yeah.
and they remove the part of it. And it was went to the lab, and they said that it is Hodgkin's lymphoma. I didn't know
Wow.
what the hell is Hodgkin's lymphoma that time. So I
Yeah.
googled, we Google things when we don't know, and it said it's a form of cancer. I said, what? No. I tried, looking into different websites, but it was every website read the same, that it's cancer, and it was unbelievable. It was heart striking. It was devastating. It was like I'm just in a dream, and it's not a real dream. That was the story of the diagnosis.
Wow. What a. Okay, here is this news now is um, been delivered to you. And the first thing that you did was because you don't You lacked the knowledge as to what it was, and you went and you seeked out via Google, seeked out information, data to inform you as to what it was. Now, this is a devastating news, if in its sense. And here you are, you've given this news and you got the data and you recognize what it was. Talk to us right here, because there's a lot of stuff that are going to begin to happen to you internally. Fearfulness,
Yes.
all of those other things are dark thinking is going to start manifesting in you and stuff like that and magnifying. As
Yeah.
you were in that space right there, talk to us as to how did you handle that information, and what steps did you take to begin to deal with that data that you just received?
Yeah. So the first thing, I had to call my parents over here in US, and then they told me, and he said, okay, you know what, we are going to deal with it together. And my brother was about to come, and he came, and my sister was fortunately there in Mumbai with me. She came and she consoled, but internally I was just not able to accept the fact that I've got cancer. I was just not able to accept it. It took me a long time to accept the fact that there is something, a disease in me, because I thought I always watched what I eat, and I was a vegetarian, and I was I used to go to the gym or keep myself healthy. I was never overweight. I never really drank or smoked so much. Why is this happening? That question was burning inside so much, like, why me? Why did this happen to me at this moment, at this time? And what does God want from me? Really, like, I was just not able to comprehend the information. And it took me a really long time. And I obviously, we had to do what we had to do. We had to go to the doctors, we had to do additional
Hmm.
tests,
Yeah.
and the PET scan, etc., etc. But internally it was a battle, like battle inside. And the questions, what will happen? Do I have to go with the conventional treatments? And then what if I lose this? What if my hair is going to go? And I'm sure this kind of treatments, because you've seen in the movies, and you've seen, I saw my grandfather pass away with cancer, and he was miserable. So all that flashback, and kind of, I could see his face, and thought, my God, like, I'm going to die, no matter, like, because no doctor says that 100% you will get cured of any cancer. It's always a fear of it either returning back, or you never know what the journey of a cancer patient is. So I was that uncertainty, that fear of unknown was troubling me inside, and I didn't know. For days I couldn't sleep well. For days I didn't know how to deal with it, and it was so overwhelming, every situation, that I had to shut myself down. I said, oh my God, I cannot right now talk to people and tell my situation, because it's too much for me. I mean, imagine telling everyone that I've got cancer, and they're like, I didn't wanted the pity of people. It's a really, just didn't want it. And I remember talking to, I was just like moving around in one of the streets that time, and stepped into a bookstore, and I read some stories, some books came in front of me, stories of cancer patients, stories of people who have battled cancer. And I somehow took them, two or three of them, and I started reading them. That's the time I got a little bit of hope and strength from them, because when somebody walks the journey you are started off, and with their experience, definitely you learn something. And the one thing which I discovered was that your mind create diseases, stress can lead to cancer. Then that was a lightning bulb moment, that I had to retrace my steps back as to how it started, i was a living how I was living my life, how my emotion played a part in me getting cancer. And that was a revelation, because I knew that 90% of the cancer was because of that relationship stress. I took that burden on me, and I was like, God, like, wow, this is such a discovery. I never knew that the mind and body is so much connected. I
Hmm.
always thought that they're compartmentalized. That's why we go to the
Yeah.
doctors, right, with the different kidney issue, go to a kidney doctor. I never knew that this connection existed. And I was like, wow, why did nobody tell me about this? And nutrition is another part of which we, like,
Yeah.
the way your body was handling. Like, I was always addicted to sugar, and I had extreme issues as a child also with my health. But we never go to the root cause. We just go to the conventional doctors, take the pill, and that's it. But never really internalize it. So that was all the revelation for me, and I started healing myself with uh, first accepting that I need help, and I was emotionally very drained out, and I've gone through a series of stress, and I need to really sit with myself and understand that okay, it's okay to go through stress. Don't take too much of load and pressure. Just handle it with love and care. Give yourself that, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to feel those emotions, and allow yourself to face the situation in present tense, not in past or future. And forgiveness, and there are a lot of things which came in my, I had to forgive myself first in order to forgive others, and I had to uh, heal the childhood trauma, sort out my relationship with my parents, so much, so many things. And all that helped me in claiming myself again. And I discovered there was such a relief from your chest when you discover all these things, and you start to peel layers and layers, and you go into your own trauma. You take the responsibility of your own self, and that was, I think, the most beautiful part. I mean, chemotherapy and all, nutrition, okay, I understand, but the most beautiful part of cancer was to find myself and finding my purpose and finding my true self as and healing myself. I think that is the most beautiful discovery, and I'm so glad that cancer happened, because I wouldn't have really discovered myself and come to this situation where I can now truly enjoy my company and truly enjoy the way I am and love myself first.
Telling your story, Bible story about you in there. And let me bring it out so that people can see, because it's very important. What you said is the key. There's a story in the book of Matthew and corresponding books within the New Testament. It talks about a woman, they call it the woman with an issue of blood. She had a blood disease, a cancerous disease that she is dying from. And it was a woman of means, because it told us that she went and she was spending money going to the healthcare system, the conventional healthcare system of the day. And it tells us that as she began to go and seek help, that she was spending her money and doing everything that she ought to be doing, because her faith was in that healthcare system. That's all she knew at the time. And it says that she went broke and spent all the money, and she was getting worse. She was dying. And then it tells us that she heard um, that this guy, Jesus, on the other side of town is healing people. Apparently, he was there in our village or wherever. And one of the most fascinating piece of scripture ever written in words was said after that. And she said within herself, and I tell people, she recognized within her subconscious being, as religion, not religion, as psychologists will call and say, she said within herself. The religion, spirituality will say she said within her soul. That part was not mentioned while she was going to all the doctors and whatever. But when the soul got it, like you said, wait a minute, all of it is connected. And when you began to deal with it from the soul realm, and that's the inner subconscious being, that being now is going to take corresponding actions to bring to pass what you just said. You made an agreement with yourself. You said some things, Shirley, to yourself. And because you said some things, you started out. You went to mom and dad, you went to get your healing, you had to learn to forgive. This woman said, if I could touch the hem of his garment, she said this within herself. So some other part of her was listening and heard what that individual said. And that's why I tell people, because the principle says faith comes by hearing. You started reading And you started to build your faith from listening to those people's story. And that story prompted you to begin to make some decisions. This woman said, if I could touch the hem of his garment, I'm good. And she was struggling against the grain. She was going against the crowd. And she kept pushing through the resistance that come as we are moving forward towards our goal. There's always going to be resistance, I tell people. And she touched his garment, and he says, who touched me? Very, very powerful, because her declaration was, I just need to touch him. And then he said, who touched me? He never said someone pulled his garment. He says, who touched me? She never pulled it, she never tugged it, whatever. And that realm, the spiritual realm that we call, and I mentioned this in the onset, they call that the spiritual realm. Psychologists call that realm the quantum field. However, it's just words, different way by which we describe it. But the soul part of the individual, like you, is the one that can access and enter into the quantum field, if you will. The body can't go there.
Yeah.
That means your mindset, your thought pattern, all of that is what accesses the quantum field. And you went there, and that's where our healing is located. In however form we now extract it from that field and bring it into the natural realm, that's the process that one receives what they're coming after. And so here you are, you began to tap into that field. You went and you start dealing with those heavier matters, forgiveness, on dealing with anger with mom and dad and all those people. When you started doing that, how did it affect you, number one? And how did it begin to affect your relationship with others, number two?
It was not easy to begin with, because your ego mind is like, why should I forgive him, or why should I forgive them? They've done such strong things to me. Why? I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. So, and then spirituality and all these other things come into your thing as a human being for your own good. I remember this story that there was one master and his fellow, and he was like, this anger, he was talking about this anger. He's like, I'm so angry all the time, what do I do? And that master told him that, just hold one of the poles, just hold it, one of the poles. And he told him that, and then he held his hand onto that pole as well. And then he told the fellow that, okay, now let yourself loose, free it. But he was holding on to it, and he just couldn't. He said, you holding on to me, I can't free it, I can't free it, I'm not free. And that's what he told, that it's not the anger which is holding you, you are holding the anger. So I got like, oh my god, I am holding on to things, and it's up to me to let go. And things like journaling, things like meditation, breath work, yoga came, all these healings came into my life. And the moment I started living moment at time, I started to accept things much more. I started to, that forgiveness isn't, it doesn't come easy, for sure, but it kind of opened the breath work, yoga, mindfulness, meditation, opened a little bit of hope for me, to that, okay, this is, he had a purpose in your life, somebody had a purpose in your life, you came together. I'm talking about my ex-husband. You came together. Maybe it was because you chose him, and there was his soul chose you. You soul his soul, and there were some lessons to be learned. And you learn the lessons, and then you go away and you just learn things from it, and then let go of that bondage. And so I had to create space, and I had to understand that, not emotionally attached, that this is how it is. And if I hold on to whatever my past hurts were, it is going to hurt me rather than anybody else. and I need to be well. Like that time, my mission was to get well no matter what, and I wanted to live a life of purpose, and I really wanted to do something. So that was my mission. In order to heal, I was open to doing anything, and that was like, okay, letting go of that. And I still do it. I still do it, and I still have some. And we as a human being, we don't understand, but that's a very important part of forgiving yourself, forgiving others, and being in the moment, really being in the moment. And it really felt as if, there's no burden on me of, because I always thought maybe my mind was either thinking about future or the past. So I was like, at this moment, I need to do XYZ things, and that's it. I'm going to relax. And cancer really helped me doing that. And I thought that cancers come into my life to give me a rest, give my mind a rest, because it taught me to live in that moment and take things as it is and really work on myself. So that was a very profound thing, to live and not think about too much about your future. It's okay, you can plan, but the things you can do right now, you need to focus on that. And that really helped. That was a game changer for me, in order to heal, and in order to make this connection with my inner being and my inner light. Because once you sit in meditation, once you kind of perform the breath work, that slows down your mind, it really cleans your vibration. It helps you see things from a very different angle. So you just let go. It's like chain which is like really stuck to you. It just starts opening slowly, slowly, and you're free from all those negativities and pressures and anxieties and anger and fear and all that. So yeah, I felt very liberated actually once I realized that, and I felt that I'm finally finding the peace, and I'm finally finding a bit of happiness, which was always there inside me, but I had covered it inside.
I hope you guys heard that, what Shirley was talking about. So much powerful stuff. All of those tools that you mentioned, meditation, yoga, breath work, journaling, those are tools that will usher you into the mindset reprogramming of your mind and tapping into the supernatural, if you will. Because when you begin to change your state, and that's what meditation does, that's what journaling does, that's what all of these different tools that you'd mentioned. The purpose of them is to change your state when you begin to operate in breathing breath. I tell people the breath is the bridge between the natural and the supernatural realm. One has to learn how to cross that bridge. As you breathe, you bring in meditation. Meditation gives you the ability to control the thoughts. Now you're changing the vibration of your thoughts from a lower vibration to a higher vibration. You're tapping into that realm, the spiritual realm, the unseen realm. Shirley talked about how she had a conversation with God. God is in an unseen realm, but we have access to Him through faith. That's how you're going to access that unseen realm. You have to tap into your soul, that subconscious being of the human being, who is truly who you are. And as you begin to navigate between the two worlds, if you will, the natural world and the supernatural world, the only way that you can function in the supernatural world is to be present. There is no other way.
Absolutely right. Very well
You
put.
you you
Beautiful.
cannot do it. You cannot. I hope you guys get this. You cannot operate in the spiritual realm unless you live in the present. When you step out of that, the past and the future, you are out of power. You are
Yes.
totally out, because one is anxiety and fearfulness. And
Yeah.
those are the two energies that you're going to be dealing with and meditating on, even if you don't know it. It's subconsciously you're pulling from those two energy fields. But when you are in present, you're pulling from the subconscious being, you're pulling from, as I said, psychologists call it the quantum realm, spirituality. You're pulling from the unseen, the spiritual realm. That's the only place where power resides. The reason why we have the darkness and the cancer and all those things that come into our life is so that we can tap into our creator that is residing, sitting inside of us, waiting for an opportunity to get permission to come out and begin to work. And the only way that us crazy human beings will ever give him permission is when our world turns upside down.
Absolutely right. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, do you know of another way, Shirley, that we would allow that individual to have access to our life and decision making process? There's no other way. I would love if someone could tell me that, But I know that when we have lost control, because when we're in the natural realm, it's all about control. When we have lost control, meaning that a situation comes into our space and all the control is gone, that's when our whole world goes up in smoke and we begin to call and give the subconscious being, the soul of the individual, permission now to begin to do its job. What is it capable of doing? Creating a new world.
Yeah. That's so
What
right.
do you want? What do you want, guys? You have to make the decision as to what do you want. Where do you want to live? In your past, in the future, or you want to live in the present where the power is? Here you are, this woman that have gone through so much. You have utilized the tools that are available to mankind to change and redirect their decision process. How did you now, because there's this woman, she has gravitated to a holistic feel. I mean, you have found your assignment. How did all of that darkness begin to guide you towards your current way by how you serve mankind? How did that
Yeah.
process happen? Because that process comes and we sometimes resist, but it happens and we
Yeah.
slowly begin to
Yeah.
accept it. So talk to us about that process in your journey, Shirley, how you began to move from where you're at. This woman that has been burdened with all of these things began to unburden herself by allowing our soul, our inner being to make the decisions. And now it's going to guide you to that, uh,
Yeah.
your happiness, to get you back, to put that 50% into 100%.
Yes. Yes. So remember I told you I made a decision. I have a conversation with God that, oh God, if I get well, I'm going to do something with the situation. I don't know. I'm going to be impactful. So during my cancer journey, it happened so that when I started working on my healing and holistic health, plus conventional and everything, I got when one of the times when I was meditating, I somehow had such a strong intuition. Maybe it can be, some people say, call it download or something, that I am healed from inside. Some very, very strong intuition came into me. I didn't know what it came from, and I told my doctors that I want to get a scan done, and she said that it generally happens after 6 chemos. Why do you want to get it done? I said I was very adamant. I don't know why, but he said okay, fine, go and get your scans done. And it happened so that the cancer subsided and it was gone, and I was so thrilled because I now know the power
Mhm.
of intuition, because I worked on myself. I got some sort of a reward because all of the work I was doing, and the cancer was gone. Now dealing having such a powerful realization that, oh my god, what the body can heal itself, and
Yep.
my work, whatever I didn't fail me, and I wanted to learn more and more and more, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And I refused radiation. I didn't want to take radiation, and I told the doctors that, listen, if something comes back, I'm going to come to you, but I need this time to heal myself and just go on this path, because I got this intuition. I said it can't be wrong. And then I actually I stepped away from the treatment, and then I changed my city, really worked on myself for 1 year, very, very disciplined, very, like, doing my meditations, yoga, working on my nutrition, everything. And somehow that seed which I had sowed, that of doing something, like something with my life, started to sprout. I started going out and started sharing my journey with people, and they were really inspired. And some how it connected me with people who really wanted to work with me in terms. I got an offer of working as a health coach in a corporate firm. I was like, I don't know. I've never worked in a corporate firm. I was a fashion designer, didn't know anything
Yeah.
about being a speaker or being, just going out and motivating people. But the person whom I worked was so fascinated, and he wanted me to start a holistic thing at the corporate thing. And we started I started taking yoga sessions and meditation sessions and bringing all the sustainable and nutrition into a corporate world. And I started working without, I'm talking, I didn't have any degree of nutrition. I was not into holistic health except my own experience, but I started working and I got so much experience while I was talking to hundreds and hundreds of people in urban area, in rural area. I got fascinated by this whole thing. And then I started to actually get into the education part of it, which was getting my certifications and working with doctors and
Mhm.
nutritionists. So it was like, as if the universe has just opened the gate because I manifested something so profound, and it gave me a direction that, look, somebody's coming in front of you and has offered something, just go and take it. Because the fear was obviously gone that something bad is going to happen. I said, okay, this is an opportunity you had promised yourself, just take it and see how it goes. And that led to different other opportunities and xyz things and all that. And during COVID, I was already working with a couple of people and couple of doctors, and during COVID I was like, I want to make something of my own, like have go more deeper into it. And that's how I started Avana, and that's how I started, because people during COVID really started talking to me, a lot of cancer patients, because they were held at their homes and they wanted healings and they wanted like to
Yeah.
understand holistic aspect, because they were not allowed to go to the hospitals. It was constrained, everything, and they're like, please work with us. Please work with us. And I started working with people, and they started to get a lot of difference. My first case was an ovarian cancer patient who had a relapse, and she got better, and then another patient got better, and that's how I got the confidence to build a team and to build an enterprise out of it. That was my journey, but it all started from that manifestation thought that I want to do something so that I can at least change one or two people's life or give them hope. I will be the most happiest person. And that when somebody tells me that, because of you we've changed this, and because of you in smallest reels of mine, or we watch you and we see you, and that's why we have made such changes, and that's how you touched our lives, I feel more accomplished than anything else in the world.
That is someone who has found their assignment. And that's the difference I tell people. I'm 62 years old and I've learned a few things because I was paying attention to human behavior. I love human behavior and the mind and what the mind can accomplish. And I've been trying through this conversation with Shirley. She's showing you her stories and stuff, and from time to time, I will interject to pull you guys into the theory of it while she lays out the practical ness of that theory and that seed. The thing about the supernatural realm, it works on seed principle. She made a statement way back, that North Star that has been residing within her spirit, her soul for a long time, and when she had a hard time, he made a demand. He said, "This is what I want to do. This is what I feel is my assignment to do." And she made a promise to God, but if you educate me to walk out of this, I will do this. And so, as she began, that seed planted many years ago, God was working in the background, putting all the other things in place for when she gets to the point where she will be able to be approached by a corporate entity to begin to teach. God is a proactive God. He didn't put this thing together just by happenstance. He was just waiting for her to get herself together. There's a scripture I was teaching people about many weeks ago. I have a podcast I was talking about. It says in Jeremiah, it says God makes a statement, "For I know the plans that I have made for you." I love that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of plans. That means that he actually took the time. That statement, he actually took the time, make some plans specifically for me. And to me, that was one of the most precious things that God would do that for me personally. Plans to prosper you, plans to not to harm you, plans to. This is the stuff that he has. But we have to get to the place by which we are going to plant those seeds so that those plans will become alive in our life, because he has. So that means that there's an assignment within those plans for you to do, because he was not happy when Shirley was 50%, because he knows a job can only give you a certain amount of degree of happiness. But when you are in your assignment, there's a couple of things that are there. There's that joy, there is peace. There is also provision, financial provision amongst within your assignment. People, one of the things that they panic and worry about is that it's not going to be able to sustain them financially.
Yeah.
That's a lie. That's an
True.
absolute lie. It's designed to sustain you. It's designed to bring you joy. It's designed to bring you happiness. It's designed to get you your peace. And when you're there, your world could be spinning out of whack, but you have your peace. It's a powerful phenomenon. And so I want to encourage you guys to come into Shirley's world. We're going to provide everything. I want to give you guys access to her. We're going to provide her links. Those of you that are in broken relationships, you can come to her. She's familiar with how to exit. She knows about that courage that you're seeking. Those of you that are in cancer or any type of disease, is not just cancer, it just happened to be specific to her case. But any type of disease is a mindset that she can bring you to a space to help you to get out of your dis-ease. Why? Because you're not living in the present. You are either in the past or you're in the future. And those two energies are extracting things from your body and from your soul. But she will teach you how to come into the present. Why? Because your healing is there. She got it. She said in her meditation was when she got the download that you're healed. Now, again, in this heavenly places, that room, if you will, is your healing, financial provision, is everything that you will ever need is sitting right there. And you can only access it by being in the present. And we call that
That's
faith. You
yeah.
have to surrender to, she surrendered to God, and he orchestrated how he would put it together. Don't plan to orchestrate nothing. Just give it to him, surrender. Let
Yeah.
him do it, because he knows the hearts of men and women that you don't know. He has connections that you don't have. And just live in the present, and you'll know when the door opens up, because it'll find you. That door will find you, and you're going to stand there going, I've never done that before. I don't know how, but that door opened up for you because it was being planned for many, many years before you even had any idea what was going on. And so we're going to provide everything for you to access her. Get into her space, get your answers, learn how to live in the present, and come out of your situation. Shirley, I want to thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. This has been a good conversation.
Thank you so much, Ken. It was such a lovely and profound conversation. I think you're doing amazingly well to bring out such people, and you yourself feels. I felt so enlightened and peace at peace talking to you as you translated my journey so beautifully and brought it to your audience. Thank you so much for that, and I wish you all the best and loads of success in whatever you do. I know people like you are here for a reason to just give people hope and make their lives a bit better. And so that's what you're doing with your podcast.
Thank you so much. I received your words And I receive your blessing, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and my being, as they say. And I thank you for coming again and honoring us with your powerful story and your precious time. And I would like to send out my blessings to you in your endeavor, because I know you have found and located your assignment, and within that assignment, you have located yourself. And so it's an honor to be before you and to have this conversation. And may God continue to bless you and open doors and expand your mind and your belief along with it.
Thank you so much. Means a lot.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully, you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.